and the darkest skies are streaked with blue. Holding on, holding on. And it's time I let you know. That was your solo.
I didn't.
It's time I let you know.
Ever since I can remember, I've been drawn to the people that take their own path. The outsiders. The people that think differently and see something others cannot. These outsiders commonly emerge as leaders. Welcome to Driving Change, where we go for a ride with business leaders within the tech ecosystem and dig deep into their beliefs, habits, routines, and influences. On this episode, we go for a ride with Don Smithmier of GoKart Labs and talk about Sophia, Bring Me the News, The Big No, brands delivering online learning, and focus. You're founder of GoKart. What is GoKart?
GoKart Labs. So we're a digital innovation consultancy. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. GoKart works with big brands, healthcare, financial services, education primarily, those categories, and we help them kind of stay ahead of the digital innovation curve. Stay current, disrupt themselves before somebody else does it to them. So we invent digital products, digital business ideas, we do marketing services or invention or product build, whatever they need. And one of the reasons that they hire GoKart is we're also an active incubator. So we've created, spun out 5 or 6 different companies since 2009. It's a big part of our culture and our business model. We're always working on our own ideas and trying to really build real companies.
So what are some of the brands that you guys incubated internally?
We created a company called Sophia, a peer-to-peer education platform that was acquired by Capella Education in 2012. We were the co-creators of a news platform called Bring Me the News here in Minnesota with Rick Capella, and that was acquired by the Polad family businesses in 2015.
What is that business?
Bring Me the News, I think, was really ahead of its time in 2009. The idea was a news curation business, so run by journalists, but curating, 400 or 500 news sources, finding the best stories about Minnesota, collecting them in one place, and then providing kind of narrative over them. So it was really just a Minnesota-focused news platform. And then it also had a radio distribution arm, so we provided headline news to dozens of radio stations across Minnesota.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so
and
then it was
all sponsored content, no advertising.
No advertising.
In 2009, that was a pretty radical idea.
Oh wow, that's really interesting.
And then our most recent venture that we've spun out is The Big No, which is a big focus of mine these last couple of years.
What's The Big No?
The Big No is helping brands, the kind of the best and brightest out there, step into the role of teacher. So we've provided an online learning platform and then a content studio specifically designed to help brands teach consumers things that consumers want to learn. And the benefit to the brand is that in an age where, a third of us now have ad blocker technology installed, and it's harder and harder to reach a consumer, we think actually teaching consumers is a phenomenal way to connect with them and build a different kind of relationship for the brand. And then for the consumers, it's the payoff is it's a great opportunity to learn from really top experts, super well-produced courses, and made free thanks to the brands.
So not only do you have the platform, but you're actually helping them build course content, which is probably oftentimes where people would fail.
Yeah, that was, and they don't necessarily need to use our creative services, but what we bring is kind of we've married instructional design, adult learning expertise with kind of big brand creative.
And you've been in that space for a long time, right?
In the education space?
Yeah.
Yeah, since the 90s. I've been in the online learning world for 23 years now in one form or another.
Did they have the internets back then?
They did. It was mostly pigeons flying back and forth, but it got more sophisticated. Yeah, isn't that crazy? God,
yeah.
Talk about feeling old.
Looking back, earlier in your career, what one thing do you think you did right to kind of lead you to doing what you're doing today?
Wow. I have really had the most fortunate accidental career. I'm not making this up. I started at Capella as a temporary receptionist, making coffee and answering the phones.
I did not know that.
And it was a brand new startup at the time. There were 7 employees, and I got lucky enough to be hired as number 8.
Wow.
And then, 12 years later, I was standing on Times Square, having just run the bell of the NASDAQ for our IPO with Steve Shank, the founder, and I just thought, this is just such a lightning striking situation to start as a temporary receptionist and then be standing there in Manhattan 12 years later at the IPO. Phenomenally lucky.
Yes.
The only thing I would say is the thing I'm glad I did was I stayed with it. I mean, I knew that Capella, I knew that thing was going to take off, and I saw a lot of employees come and go over those years, and I could never believe it. Why would you leave this? This thing is absolutely going to happen. It took a lot longer than anybody thought, including us, and there were some really trying years, but I never doubted that it was going to happen, and so I was committed. I'm going to figure out how to stay with this thing and add value and keep growing. So tough experience in many ways, but phenomenal. So lucky.
Brands and engaging brands in new and different ways seems like almost imperative. Now, you can't just put a TV commercial on anymore and think everyone's going to buy your product, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, so latest stat I saw, 25% of U.S. households now have cut the cord, won't use television that comes with paid commercials.
Yep.
And the really funny thing about the ad blocker technology, they asked people why they installed ad blocking. And the reason people cited for installing it is that they found out it exists. So as soon as they find out they install it.
Yeah.
So it's actually 2/3 of millennials are blocking ads.
Wow.
So yeah, if you're a big brand, if you're any company trying to reach a consumer, it's just getting harder and harder. And so we think, well, instead of continuing to interrupt people, why don't you actually teach them things that they really care about and create a totally different kind of connection, and
have them
knock
come
on wood,
to
so
you.
far so good.
Do you see a lot of people in that space doing what you guys are doing?
No, I think it's still very early. I mean, I say that, and as soon as I say it, by the time this comes out, there'll be 10 competitors that I didn't know about. But no, so far no one really going at it the way that we are. And that'll change. It just inevitably does. If it doesn't, then I'd be really nervous. That means I'm probably working on a dumb idea.
Well, I would guess that a lot of brands are trying to do it internally themselves.
Yeah, I think they are. I think that they're spending on content no matter what.
Yeah.
So, the question is, will they continue to spend on blogs and just more videos on social, or will they go to this next step and think more about educational content?
Every entrepreneur book I read, any business school I've ever gone to, says focus, 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 focus. I feel like I'm a bit of an outlier in that space as well, because I like to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of different things. You have focus on a lot of different things. Why? Why do you do that?
Well, I know I got that same lecture in graduate school too, and it's never been my forte. Singular focus.
Yep.
Now, having said that, I think that part of what you need to have as an entrepreneur is a lot of curiosity, and that's been my challenge, or maybe my strength. I don't know. Is that I'm not good at ignoring things that interest me. If something interests me, then I can't help myself. I have to kind of dive into that. And explore it and learn more about it, whether that's music or education or or business or faith or whatever. And so it's brought me into a lot of different things, and I like to be really busy. I've got a very patient spouse who
very important.
tolerates me. So I've always, ever since I was a little kid, I've had a lot of balls in the air, and I kind of like it that way.
Yep.
But as I've matured, I guess, I don't know that I'm mature, but as I've matured, I have realized that it has its limitations, that what you need to know as an entrepreneur is where your weak spots are. And so I really try to take care to surround myself with people that can bring a different level of focus than I can,
Yep.
or that I choose to bring.
I think one of the downfalls I found early on is that I had so many ideas when I wanted to start my second business. I had so many ideas, I had a hard time focusing on which one to do, which kind of gave me analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Did you have that problem at all when you went off before you launched GoKart?
Well, I definitely feel like I had a lot of pent-up creative juices. That, I was excited to do a lot of different things. I was at Capella for 14 years, and it was a phenomenal experience, and had a lot of different opportunities and roles there. And but 14 years in one industry, one company. By the time I got out, there was a bunch of different things I wanted to get after and did. And so probably got too aggressive. My eyes were bigger than my stomach, and have had to rein that back. And so even like with the Big No, plan this in a very different way than I had previous startups. To make sure that we had really making sure that GoKart was in a position to execute and focus without me leading the day-to-day.
Yep.
That's a challenge. And then really making sure that I built a great team to launch the Big No that brought the right mix of skills. And I really feel great about that. We've got a phenomenal team in both companies, and that allows me to do more than I would otherwise be able to do.
Looking back, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self?
Wow.
I mean, it was only a couple years ago. But,
my 25-year-old self. Well, I would tell him, don't stay with Capella. This is a good idea. But I probably would say, don't worry quite so much. Don't get so worked up about some of this stuff. Easy to say now because you know how things turned out.
Yep.
But
don't sweat the small stuff,
and try to have perspective that even if it's relatively big for that business or that particular day, in the grand scheme of the world, probably not the biggest deal. If you're one day behind on that website launch.
Yep. I think that idea of don't get overwhelmed with some of the things going on, and don't sweat it. I think that's really good advice. It's hard sometimes.
The other advice I'd give my 25-year-old self: buy Amazon stock. Buy all the Amazon stock you can possibly get your hands on. It's 1995. I promise you, this is going to work out.
So it seems like everybody that I talk to is typically working on solving one big problem or challenge. What is that for you right now?
I would say both with GoKart Labs and the Big No, they're both kind of at inflection points of growth, where what we've done to get to this point isn't going to be what works to get us to the next stage.
Okay.
And that's kind of I find that you hit those moments at pretty regular intervals, or you kind of hope that you do, where you have to step back and say, all right, how do we undo what we've done and rethink it? What's the right way to organize, and what are the right seats, and what are the people that need to be in those seats for us to get to that next level? And it really never stops. If you're growing a business, that's a really hard challenge.
Yeah. Great. Well, hey,
Jeff,
thanks
awesome,
for your time.
man.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was fun. Hey, this is Jeff Martin again. If you go to leadbychange.com, you can see this show and other shows. If you subscribe, you can get early access to new shows and also exclusive content. Thanks for watching.